The Trump administration and Senate Republicans have badly mauled the body politic, the American economy, and American health care. And we believe the patient needs a major operation while Republicans want to apply just a Band-Aid. We won't let them just pass the Band-Aid, go home, and leave America bleeding. It's that simple. That's the difference. That's the difference. There are huge problems out there, but so many of the Republicans don't want to do anything. Let's not spend any government money when people are hurting so badly. The president just dithers. This is the greatest crisis we've probably had in so many years, and one of the 5 or 6 greatest crises America has ever had, and there is no leadership from the president. He says one thing one day, another thing another day, and another thing another day. He's not focused on this. No leadership. History will guard this as one of the most appalling performances by any chief executive anywhere in the world in all of history. It's true. It's that serious. So the reason our negotiations with the White House have been so arduous is they just don't see the needs out there, and they don't want to do anything about them. They want to get away with as little as possible, so their right-wing ideologues who don't want to spend any government money will not be angry with them. They don't understand the crisis in the country. They don't understand its depth. They don't understand its breadth. They don't understand the suffering. Our Republican counterparts refuse to acknowledge that Americans, through no fault of their own, have lost their jobs, might need some help, some money to help pay the rent. The Republican leader thinks the biggest threat to our country is an epidemic of lawsuits that hasn't materialized. What will materialize soon is an epidemic of evictions, unless we extend the moratorium and pass rental assistance. You can't extend the moratorium without giving people some help. Between 19 and 23 million households, that's 1 in 5 rental households, will be at risk of eviction by September. And when the moratorium ends and they owe 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months rent and they don't have money, there will be massive evictions. Our Republican colleagues refuse to acknowledge that state, local, tribal governments, who the Trump administration abandoned in the early days of this crisis for ideological reasons, might need federal support to prevent teachers and firefighters and bus drivers from being laid off. Over 1 million have already been laid off, and the number, from all they tell us, will greatly increase. Our Republican counterparts refuse to acknowledge running an election in the middle of a pandemic is difficult when so many more people will vote by mail, and voting, and voting in person is also more difficult. Yesterday, the Republican leader scoffed at the idea of extending enhanced unemployment benefits because he said it would mean that Americans without work would be paid more than essential workers. Well, in our bill, we say pay the essential workers more. They reject it. If our friends are worried about how little essential workers are making, join us in supporting our frontline pay provisions. When it comes to our schools, food assistance for the hungry children, for the post office, for the census, and mind-bogglingly, when it comes to health care, testing, the great shortage of testing and tracing, they want to pinch pennies. Again, they'd like to get away with passing the skinniest, most minimal bill possible and go home and wash their hands of it. We can't do that because it will leave Americans hurting and not get us out of the crisis, which is our job. We've had huge problems brought on by a failed president who tries to sweep the problems under the rug and deny they exist. We Democrats will not give up on America. We're not walking away. Speaker Pelosi, yesterday, evidently, Mr. Meadows said at the Republican lunch he's going to quit as of Friday. He got such heat for that, he backed off. Well, we're not quitting. We're ready to work. We will keep working. And as long as it takes, as the Speaker said in her tunnel analogy, as long as it takes to reach an agreement, we will keep working and working and working until we get it done. Democrats have been ready to work. Republicans have stalled for 4 months. If Republicans in the White House want to throw up their hands, walk away from the table, that's on them, but we don't want them to do it. The American people are going to remember who was ready to meet their needs and who was ready to continue negotiating